kiss for you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back to the part 2 of this video series on web services using Retrofit library in Android Studio. Alright guys, so in this video we are going to connect our PHP and create our PHP part of this project. So let's go to C drive, then we have to go to WAMP and then www, and then we have to click on Retrofit YouTube, and here as you can see that I had already created this PHP file. So now we will be creating this PHP file. So first of all, let me write here, and first of all we have to specify the server name, and it will be localhost, and then we will be using username for the PHP myadmin. So here we can say it to be root, or we can just write. Then we have to specify the password, which in this case is null, and then we can have to use the database name. So we can say db name equal to mydb. Let me just write mydb, right? And after this, what we have to do is we have to use the connection equal to MySQL connect we have to use the MySQL connect, and in here we have to pass on all these four variables. So here we have the server name, then we have the username, then password, and finally the db name, right? And here we can check if the connection is successful or not. So here we can write if connection is not successful, we can print a message, and here we can write die, and we can write connection failed, and we can print the message MySQL error, and that is it. Okay, so in this case if it is correct, so we can just write else, right? If the connection is successful, now we have to fetch the data from the post. So how we can fetch the data? So for example, from Android application we sent the fields, and we have to now fetch the data using the post. So how we can do? We can write email equal to underscore post, and here we have to specify the variable name. So we can use user underscore email, then we can write password equal to, similarly for the post, and here we can write user password, then we can write name equal to post, and here we can specify the name, username, then for the age equal to, similarly for the post, age, right? We have these four, and then we can create the SQL query. So here we can write insert into, and we have to specify the table name user, and here we can say user email, then we say user password, and then we can say user name and user age, right? After we specify this, let me just remove it, and we can write values, and in here we can have to specify now for the email, we can write user email, then user password, then we have user name, and finally we have the user age, right? After this we can enclose it like this, and we can remove it, right? And after this we can use if MySQL query, and in here we have to provide first of all the connection variable and the query. So here we can check if it is successful, then we have to now the pass on or notify our application that the data has been added successfully. So for that we will be creating a JSON. So for that, or array, so for this we can say underscore data equal to, and here we can specify message, and here we can say like user data entered successfully, and then we can also have a variable like status, and it will be equal to 1, right? And then we can use the header, and inside this header we have to specify that it is in the form of JSON. So here we can say content type colon, and here we can say application slash JSON. Okay, and we finally we can say echo JSON encode, because we have to encode it, and here we can pass on the data object here. Okay, so here if it is not successful, then we can also specify the error and do that same thing again. Here we can say message is an error has occurred. Okay, and the status will be 0. Similarly for this, and finally we have to, let me see from where it is, okay, here, and finally we can say MySQL close. Okay, and for this we can say like this. Alright guys, so that was it, and we have successfully created our PHP file, and now we have to create the or access the database. So go to your Chrome browser, and in here we have to specify localhost. Make sure that you have the WAMP server running and it must be in green, right? And click on PHP myadmin, and here we have to specify login, but in case if you get any error, okay, so in this case there is no error. And after this we have to create a new database, and we can say it like mydb. Click on create, and here we have to specify the table. So we have user 3 and 4, number of column. Click on create, and then here we can say user ID, and it must be auto increment because it is a primary key. Okay, so that is the primary, and then we can have user email, and it must be like text. Then we have user password, and it must also be text, and it also for the user name text, right? And let me just click on add one here. So click on go, and here we have it like this. So we can say user age, and it can also be in the form of text. So we can just create on save, and there you can see that we have the table running. So we can now check it. Okay, so how we can check that? Open your Postman. Okay, so you have to also install the Postman software so that you can check your web services. So for that, here we can see here we have to change it like Retrofit YouTube, and inside that you can see that we have register.php. all right, and from here we have to click on www-form and URL encoded, because we are sending the data using form URL encoded. So here it is that key. So we can say user email. So let me write hello gmail.com. Let me write again user password. It will be 123456. Then we will have user name, it will be Harun. Then we have user age and maybe like 10 or anything you like. All right, and after this we have to specify the post here, because URL form encoded only work with post. So if we click on send, and there you can see there is some problem in my PHP file. So let me see where is the issue. And I will be back soon. Alright guys, so there was some connection error. So I have here, after you click on send, and here we can see that it is like user account created successfully and the status is 1. Alright, so if we go back to our PHP my admin, if you click on user, and from there you can see that the data has been inserted successfully, right? So let me show you again, and here let me just change the value. So here we can say programmingexperts@gmail.com. then we have like 1 2 3, then instead of this name we can say programming, and here we can write 25 and click on send. Here you can see user account created successfully. So if we open that again and click on user, so here you can see the data is now being saved successfully, right? So now after we have done everything like this the register file you can also see, and you can check if you have any mistake in that your register.php file. This is my register.php file, right? Here we can say user account created successfully. Then we have an error has occurred while creating account, and so is this. And also instead of this echo, we do not want to print any message, any echo here. So here, after everything was set up, let me just now go to my Android Studio, and in here we have to now create the function, and before that we can say it like user interface. How we can use it? Okay, so we have to now click on we have to create the interface class. Right click on, let me show you. Here we have to click on new and click new Java class, and in here select interface and write API interface. Right inside your API interface class we have to specify some the function. So for that we have to first of all create the Java class and rename it as user, or we can say response user serializable, user serialize, right? And after you create this public class user serialize, we have to implement it with serializable, and after this we have to use private string, and here we can say message, then we have private string status, right? And for that, here after this we have to use the serializable, serialized name, and here we have to serialize the name here like this, and we can say expose, right? And too many characters in here. Okay, we can write message. Similarly for this status we can write status, right? So we have this array account ready, and here we can generate the getter. So we can click on generate getter functions. So here we have, and after this class we have to now click on, we have to create the we have to click on our interface, and in here we have to use form URL encoded, and then we have to use post, and inside it we can say register.php. okay, and finally we have to use the call function of this retrofit, and in here we can write user serialize, and let me just import the class, and here we can specify the function name, so we can say register user with form URL encoded, right? And here we have to specify the field. So for field we can use the annotation like field, and in here if we, first of all our field will be user email, then we will also user email, so we have to use string user email, right? So similarly for the other field we can say user password string user password, then we have to use another field user name string user name, okay, and finally we have the user age, so we can say user string age. Right, so this is the function which we are going to use, and we are going to send these 4 field values. Alright, so after this let me just click on, okay, so here we, as you can see, we already have initialized all these things, and here after this we have to now use the call, and then we can use the user serializable because we want to have the result inside this. So here we can say user, and we can say my call equal to, okay, so before that we have to initialize our classes. So here we have API interface, we can say API interface, and inside our own create function we can write like API interface equal to API client dot get API client dot create, and here we can write API client dot class. Okay, so it's showing me an error. Let me see what, okay, API interface dot class. Okay, so here we have to write API interface dot class. So here we have this function. Now we can easily use API interface dot register with this, and here only we have to write the parameters. We have email, we have the password, we have the name, and we have age, right? And we can use mycall.enqueue, and we have to use the callback, and here after this let me just click on alt enter, annotate parameter call as non-null, similarly for the response here and as well as here, right? So after this here we can check if response.body is not equal to null. So in case if the response is not null, so we can say it like user serialize us equal to response.body, and here we can check, so we can use string response equal to us.get message, then we can say string status equal to us.get status, similarly. Okay, so it's giving me issue, so here we can say it like string message, right? And here we have this, so we can just print the toast message here, and we can say it like main activity dot this, and here we can say we can print the message. Okay, and here, okay, alright guys, so I think that our application is complete. We will be testing it in our third part of this video series. So guys, if you like the video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and goodbye.